Greetings and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. In this video, we will be doing a first look at the latest entry in GMT Games COIN series. This is volume 12, as you can see right here. Our game designer is Carmichael, that is Jarrod Carmichael. This is, I believe, his first design. But this is an interesting twist on the COIN formula in that it is set in a sci-fi setting. So the game is set on Mars during the mid-23rd century, and it has 4 factions. 2 of them are counter-insurgent factions, and 2 are insurgent factions. They each have, of course, unique ideologies, and they're competing for dominance over the planet. So the conflict really reflects the political control, corporate exploitation, rebellion, post-humanist adaptation and things like that. So very sci-fi, very cool, and well designed, or well conceptualized, I guess, theme here. So I'm going to open up the shrink wrap. I have not yet opened up the shrink wrap and even looked at this yet. I'm going to do that right now. I'll do that off camera, and we'll come back and talk about what's in the box and just some stuff about the game. Okay, we are back as promised. Here's our box. We're going to open it up. And right on top, we've got the playbook. I'm going to set that aside for the moment and go to the rule book. We also have a rules and reference booklet. Okay, so we'll get into that momentarily. You've got some, our 4 factions are here, plus the 5th non-faction, right? So let's do them kind of in a order here. So we've got the Martian government, okay? They have to balance Earth's interests and local needs, and they win by increasing their support and gaining confidence from the Earth government. All right, so that's the Martian government, and here you have on the back some strategy tips for playing as this faction, as well as your setup information. These are the 3 areas on the planet that have habitats. We'll see that when we get to the map. You have Tharsis Montes, Arabia Terra, and Hellas Planitia. Okay, and we'll see those on the other ones as well. But you have some, like I said, you have some strategy tips there. Then we have the corporations. Okay, now I didn't mention this, but you do have, your discs and cubes that you would have in all the other coin games. They all kind of use the same basic system, basic components. Now, the corporation, this is profit-driven, of course. They're focused on lucrative contracts, and their aim is to dominate by building terraforming bases and earning profits, right? So business-oriented, as you would expect. So here's the strategy tips. You're the corporations. Your aim is simply to increase the profits of your shareholders, right? Makes sense. Here's your setup. And again, this is what they have in the 3 inhabited areas, rather. Then we have the red dust movement. Now you can see they have a little bit less in terms of forces than the first 2 had. So the red dust movement is a rebel faction. So the first 2 were the COIN factions, the counterinsurgency factions. These are this one and this one. My mouth running ahead of my mind here. These 2 guys are the insurgent factions, right? So this is a rebel faction. They're fighting for a free Mars, and they win by rallying opposition and establishing bases, right? So you have your bases down here. When we flip them over, you can see strategy tips. You are the red dust movement. Your aim is to build opposition to the Martian government and establish bases, what I just said. Setup, they've got a decent amount of spread between the 3 areas. So at start, they're available forces. They have 4 bases and 14 rebels. Then we have the 4th and final player faction, and this is the Church of the Reclaimer. So this is a post-humanist faction, and they oppose terraforming, and they seek to maintain Mars in its natural state, and they want to gain control of enemy bases. And on the back here it says, yep, your aim is to preserve Mars by removing enemy bases, placing your own bases, and increasing control. So they have set up as well. Their initial forces are 11 bases and 9 rebels. Then we have the non-player Earth government. So this, of course, would be the government back on Earth, right? The home planet. So they operate the Aldrin Cycler. We'll talk about that when we get into the rules and so forth. They're obviously off planet, but they work with the Martian government. So they want to strategy tips, secure control of elite EarthGov troops and orbital satellites by manipulating EarthGov confidence up and down. So they work with the two. They work with the corporations and the Mars government. All right, so let's look at the rule book. I'll put this to the side for the moment. We'll put these guys in here. So here is our rule book. Tighten up the shot a little bit. Right? All right, table of contents. So you've got your components, intro, basic concepts, victory, setup, sequence of play, operations, special activities, event cards, key terms index, and your setup diagram. So here are a list of components. There's a lot in the box, and we'll get that. I mean, you can see by looking at the box, it's pretty thick here. Then you've got your introduction, which gives you the the basic background of the game, which is what I kind of already did. Okay, that's better. My white balance was off. Sorry about that. All right, so important. If this is your first time learning the game, you might want to start by reading the tutorial section of the playbook. That's here. We'll take a look at that in a moment. You'll see you have notes here with triangles. They're colored. Colors match your various factions here, right? So we've got 4. You've got blue, black, red, and orange. Those are your faction colors. So like the blue and the black, that would refer, the Aldrin Cycler rule refers to them. Next page, basic concepts, players and factions, goes over each of the 4 factions as well as the non-player faction. The Earth government is a 5th non-player faction that maintains elite ground forces and an extensive satellite network. Control of EarthGov forces changes between the Mars government and the corporations based on how much Earth trusts the Martian government to manage the rebellion. The Earth government doesn't have victory conditions and cannot win the game. So it mentions here friends and enemies, right? I already mentioned the corporations, Mars, and the 2 government factions, even though the Earth is off to the side. They are all friends, I guess. They're the counterinsurgent forces. And then you have the other 2, which are the rebel factions, but they are enemies to each other as well as the government and corporate factions. So they're kind of they're on their own. They don't like anybody else, basically. There's no non-player option. And you can play 2-player. If you play 2-player, one would control both coin factions, the other would control the rebel factions, and you would base your winning score based on the lowest of your 2 factions. Right? There's some notes here, a little sci-fi background. Here's a key of the map. So this is what the map looks like, and we'll see this in a little bit. But you have various boxes. These circular areas are your settlements, I believe. L is labyrinth. That's right. They're called labyrinths. But they're like habitats, or they're like underground settlements, or perhaps domes. And you have 3 main areas that they are in that we saw on these cards. Tharsis Montes, which is this one. Arabia Terra, this one. And Hellas Planitia is this one. And you can see they have names of their labyrinths within them. And you have wilderness. There's a big desert, of course. And then you have some other stuff over here. We'll get into the map a little later. The game board, this goes through everything. You have maglev lines that allow you to connect. These are blue lines that connect, like these here, that connect 2 areas. They connect 2 labyrinths. The Aldrin Cycler is the route by which EarthGov and corporate forces, supplies, and new population travel from Earth to Mars. That's up here. You have Phobos, which is, of course, one of Mars' moons. And Phobos serves as kind of like a staging area. So this explains everything. You've got your EarthGov confidence track, the EarthGov controller, that's just which faction is basically in favor with the Earth government. Forces and satellites, it explains all that stuff. Resources and profits. You can trade them between factions, some of them, trading resources and asset cards. MarsGov and Red Dust may transfer resources to each other. Reclaimers may spend asset cards to transfer an amount of resources equal to the spent card's value to Mars, Gov, or Red Dust at any time while the receiving faction is executing an operation, special activity, or event. So those are the things that are kind of the core of the coin series, is playing the cards and conducting operations or events or activities. Population and damage, you've got repair actions, and again, you can see that not all of the factions use all of these. A lot of them are the three, with the Church of the Reclaimer, the orange faction, being kind of different because they're post-humanist. Then you have Control, Dust Storms, of course, Mars, Dust, Red Dust Rebellion. Well, Red Dust is the movement also, but Mars and Dust kind of go hand in hand. Victory, so you have your victory conditions during the Dust Storm rounds and after the final Dust Storm. And we go through setup, approaching storms, how you handle that. Deck preparation, you have a campaign deck, an asset deck, and an event deck. Again, more of the story here. Our sequence of play. You have general sequence of play. You have the Haboob marker, which is when a dust storm card is visible as the next event. Place the Haboob marker on the current event. Recon and March operations may not be performed while the Haboob marker is on the current event card. All right. Flashpoint rounds, dust storm rounds, and then operations and how coin operations work in this game. If you've played other coin games, operations are probably pretty familiar to you. Did this turn blue on me again? I think my white balance is, well, I guess it's fine. Anyway, more of the story. You can do training, logistics, secure, house or repair, recon, assault, rally, talking about losing bases and rebel operations, march, travel, attack, and you have campaign and preach, which only applies to the Redeemer. This one only applies to Red Dust. So you can see, again, some of these only apply. So they have their own special operations. And then you have special activities for the Martian government. They can entrench, petition, transport. For the corporations, they have PR, public relations, exploit, and raid. Red Dust has redistribute, which gathers resources from the population. Coordinate, ambush. Then the Church of the Reclaimer has Purify, which converts enemy forces into Reclaimer forces. That sounds pretty powerful, right? Ransack and Ambush. Event cards. And my voice is a little weird because I'm sick at the moment, which is why I haven't done any videos for a while. I've been pretty ill. But we have event cards here, of course, as well. And then we get into a nice real-life USGS NASA contour map of Mars from 2003. So that's kind of cool. There's Arabia Terra right there. Hellas Planitia. And Tharsis Montis. So you have the real life look at what this the game area looks like on the actual planet Mars. And our key terms index. So if you forgot what Haboob is, you can look it right up here. And we have another look at the map here at the back. Now I did mention the playbook. Before we get to that, we'll take this is the non-player rules and reference booklet. So this is what you use when you play solo, which is how I'm going to play it for video. So I will go through this probably when I do my playthrough. I won't go into this very much right now, but it gives you the golden rules, the rules for the non-player factions. They have to follow the rules almost. So it gives you some of the, I guess, nuances that you have to kind of put in place to handle the fact that you're not actually playing against another human being. You're playing a system, basically. Sequence of play, changes to the sequence of play, and so on and so forth, right? You're basically playing all four. You have to handle all four factions, of course. So that's what this is for. And again, I won't really going to get into this until I actually do a video for gameplay. So here's the playbook, and the playbook features the tutorial right at the front. So first-time players should start here. So it gives you a nice step-by-step run through of how the game works. Really nice and pretty long, right? I mean, it's like half the book, basically. And then we get, so you get 21 pages or 20 pages probably about of the tutorial. We have another picture of the map. And you have the event cards and explanations of what the event cards are. And this is kind of something that you see in a lot of other games, the coin games especially, is it tells you what all the cards mean, event cards. So it gives you some background. Now, all the other games are based in history. This is actually science fiction. So this is all, fictional, science fictional. But it's pretty cool, nonetheless. I'm a sci-fi geek, as you may or may not already know. I'd love to do a sci-fi month or something sometime, but it's hard to slot in all the various things that I want to do. And then you have your asset cards, your campaign cards. It gives you some background on all of the cards. Then, of course, you get the designer notes from Jarrod Carmichael. And he explains how he went about designing this game to fit into the coin system. The scientific assumptions behind it, life on Mars, the government. And then you got to even have a timeline here. So this is all really cool stuff. And then we get to the back where we have our credits for who worked on the game. And that is that. So let's look at some of these other items inside the box here. So here's a player aid for the Flashpoint round and the Dust Storm round. We have 2 of those. Then we have the Curiosity. This is the non-player Dust Storm round instructions. So this would be, again, for the solo game. And this is the Flashpoint round instructions for, again, the solo version. This is event instructions on one side, and I guess on both sides, actually. Various cards. There appear to be 46 cards, I guess, or no. Well, yeah, no, not 46 cards that's run from number 1. You can see some of the numbers are skipped. So the lowest card is a 1, and the highest card is a 46, I guess. Then we have a fold-out here. Corporations, Red Dust Movement, Church of the Reclaimer, and the Martian Government. And we have multiple copies of these, as you might expect, likely to be 4, and it is. Then we have non-player eligibility. This is the non-player aid card. So you have an eligibility table, peace priorities, effective events, space selection priorities, move priorities. So basically how the AI, quote unquote, operates. And I'm sorry I'm doing this while I'm sick, but I felt like it was more than time to do another video. And plus I just got this and I'm very excited to have gotten it. So I wanted to kind of take a look at it. So here are some of the counters. They are your typical nice GMT counters, nice rounded edges, no need for clipping. So these are pops, it looks like. Then we've got some passive support and some passive opposition. And then some various markers, enemy bases, profits, control, and so on. Even down at the bottom, you've got a few things. And we got a second counter sheet with more stuff. Supply, coin control, approaching storms, satellites. Flashpoint Haboob. There's the these punch out really easy. Profits and so on. So a lot of markers, which is what you would expect. I mean, you don't have counters like you would in a hex and counter war game where your units are typically cardboard counters. We'll skip the map for the moment. We have our baggies that GMT always kindly includes. We've got 4 dice here of different colors, one of each. Well, I guess we don't have a blue, but you can use the white for the blue faction. The other 3 are faction colored. Then we got our various cylinders and so on and so forth. Cylinders, wooden bits, all kinds of little wooden pieces here that you use in the game, and we'll see these when we play. We're gonna have some meeples in here, right? So this is all pretty typical coin components. Campaign card, right? I probably won't bust into these until I play. And these are Curiosity. That says Curiosity, but these are more cards, of course. This, I think, is the non-player, maybe. I suspect that's what that is. And then we have here the Reclaimer asset card. These are all asset cards, I suppose. Maybe. In here. And then these are your other cards. Dust Storm, so like event cards and so forth. So that's all of the cards that come with the game, as well as the components. I'm going to pop all these back in here real quick. And we're going to open up the map. Okay, so here we have our map. This is a decent sized map. I don't have the box in front of me at the moment I mean, it's over here, I guess. But I don't have the top on it. The map is 22 by 34, which is pretty standard, and I should have known that, but I like to make sure. So again, Tharsis Montis, right? Here's our area. It's really nice. There's a lot of detail on here as well. Up here we have Earth, the Aldrin Cycler, Phobos, the moon. You have a place for satellites in orbit. Then we have the desert, the wilderness, which is very inhospitable to human life, as you might expect. This is Mars we're talking about. Arabia Terra, you've got New Cordoba and Shenzhou in there, Shenzhou. Hellas Planitia down here with Gandhi and Sharma. Over here we have Tereshkova, Europa, Tenzing, and Shepherd. So these are your main inhabited areas. And then you've got some base areas here, I believe, and so on. Over here you have casualties for the Earth government and corporations only. Displaced population, Earth government confidence, right? So Mars government gets it down to 6. Then from 4 to 0, basically, well, you go down steps here. The corp, it helps the corp, and then you get no controller. You have an overflow box down here as well. So this is the map. It's very nice. It laid pretty flat out of the box. There's a little bit of a bulge right here. I mean, these do come folded up, but in typical GMT fashion, this is the components are always very, very nice quality components. So that's going to do it for our look at Red Dust Rebellion here. And like I said, I'll do a playthrough on this probably not this month, but sometime in November or December, hopefully, barring unforeseen circumstances, such as my current illness. Anyway, that's going to do it. I'll wrap it up. Please feel free to make comments, ask questions, etc. That's always welcome. I do like to interact with you people. I do appreciate you taking the time to watch. If you would like to help support the channel by liking or sharing the video or subscribing, if you're not a subscriber, that's always welcome as well. If you are a subscriber, I appreciate the support. Thank you very much for that. But that is it. I'm signing off. I'm Joe. This is the Hex Encounter channel. And until next time, as always, happy gaming.